good evening, good evening, good evening. Lumberjack Landlord here. We are here to just talk about some real estate and talk about the amazing market that I'm seeing out there right now. And yeah, apocalypse kind of says it all. I mean, one of the things that I wanted to kind of take you guys through tonight was, really the journey started in September where we had some of our leases coming due. We have some of our leases coming due in the September, October timeframe, which, if you have a winter climate where it actually, gets below freezing on a consistent basis and you get the white stuff, snow and such, that can be a pretty rough time. That can be a really hard time to rent units. Kind of the landlord rule is the only type of tenants that you see coming available in December and January and February are the ones who are being evicted and they have to find another place. And obviously that's not a tenant that you want in most cases, 99.9% type of thing. So, as I was kind of watching the market, as I was kind of watching things unfold, the thing that I'm watching is, okay, we're posting units. We're putting them up. We actually didn't look for increases. We actually put these units up at exactly the same numbers that we had before. Or in a couple of cases, we had tenants that were long-term tenants where their rent hadn't gone up as fast as market. And so we did mark those to market. But again, nothing crazy. And so what's really interesting, what's been kind of crazy to watch is the election effect. You have a lot of people talking about that and saying, oh, it was the election. Maybe, but we actually, so I was asking people, I was having the agents that I work with ask people, hey, so kind of what's holding you off? Like, why are you either not buying? Cause I had a couple single family houses for sale. And those things, I mean, showings like within a month of November, of the first week of November were non-existent. They were non-existent. Even rentals showings there were like down probably 70 or 80%. So I'm sitting there saying, hey, looks like it's going to be a bloodbath this winter. It looks like any unit that we have come available, we might even need to discount the unit to get it rented because it was not looking good. So now kind of get us to the point where, all right, now we're hanging out and it's, now the elections happened and we don't see an immediate uptick. But I would say within pretty close, like within a week or 10 days, we give everything a break for the election. We kind of shut down all of our ads. We still have our couple properties listed, but we kind of shut down all of our ads. And then we start going crazy, right? We start putting all of our ads out there. And again, just like I teach in the course, hey, this is how you market. This is how you need to do this. And so we get everything out there and off the charts, crazy busy. It's The Office. Curse is over. We start seeing crazy pent up demand. We over the course of October, we had kind of unprecedented for us. We had a lot of people that had expirations in October not renew. I think what they found cheaper units that they could downscale into. We had a couple people move out of the area. There was definitely a couple that stayed in the area, but they went downscale from where they were. And so that was kind of a holy cow moment, like really more than just a little bit, kind of blew me away. But anyway, so we're going down that path and all of a sudden, like I said, it's a house of fire. Within 2 weeks of the election, every open house that we have is completely jam-packed. We have more people than we know what to do with touring these units. And we do really well on the rents. Everything. And we went from 1 unit available in like 2 weeks to 6 units available, which is unheard of. We basically never have 6 units. These were people that had gone to month, because we didn't want to renew. And so when we look at that, we're like, holy cow, we've got 6 units available. Like, this is bad. This is not good. And it didn't look like it was going to get better. I mean, it was looking truly like an apocalypse. That wasn't clickbait. It was a bloodbath because, we're going in and we're looking at it. And I think 6 units is like those 6 units, I want to say total rental. I mean, it's about 10, maybe a little over 10,000, 10 or 11,000 bucks a month for that particular set of units. So it's a big number. It's crazy. And so we're going through this process. We get everything, and then I kid you not, within 2 weeks, all of a sudden, just absolute pouring in of emails, just absolutely off the top, just over the top, tons and tons and tons of emails. We're getting all of these emails, and we're filling up what we do is we do like a limited release of how we do our open houses. You actually have to get an invite to our open house. Yeah. And if you want to know how to actually rent a unit really fast, I'm your guy. Dion from Dion Talk Financial Freedom. He doesn't like to use my ads because he said it's too many emails to get through. True Dionism. Love him for it. So we're going through this process. All the open houses are full. We get amazing. Like we were the 6 weeks before the election, we were dealing with one retread tenant after another, one horrible credit score after another, one horrible story after another. People that were even getting down the path, they were disqualifying because, I think, my credit score is 650 and then it's like 560. I was like, maybe it's just dyslexia. I don't know. The credit was horrifically bad. The percentage of rent, the amount of rent compared to their income was horrifically bad. So I'm literally thinking over the course of like 4 to 6 weeks, I'm like, this is going to get bad. Now, I still believe that the market's going to go down. I still believe that rents will go down. They're not going to go down a crazy amount, or I think it's really going to be market dependent. But right now in the middle of winter, where we've already had one ice storm. We've already had at least one snowstorm. Wasn't anything crazy. It was just a few inches, but plows are already on trucks and sanders are already in the back of trucks and salters as well. It was, again, just bad. What we're looking at now is what's really interesting to see tonight. What's been interesting to kind of watch it play through has been, so we have those 6 units and we get literally all of them, every single one of them. We end up with really strong candidate. 4 out of the 6 actually rent. And then we have essentially 2, and then we have just 2 units left. Those 2 units rent a week later. Guys, this is kind of unprecedented. I've never had this many rentals available in the wintertime. I never want to have this many rentals available in wintertime. So again, if you're in my course, you know exactly what I did to make sure that we don't have these rentals in December again. But all of these people are signed. Everybody paid deposits. Everybody's got a strong credit score. We actually, I'll save that piece for later. But yeah, great credit scores, great incomes, and the deals just came together. Signed leases, looks really, really, really good. Really, really good. So right now, for all intents and purposes, the apocalypse, the bloodbath right now is over. We're still seeing stuff move that's priced kind of sub 400. Median home price in our area is about 440. So we're still seeing stuff sub 400 move. We're still seeing stuff over that number not really move. We had one of our deals under contract 3 times. 3 times. That thing's been on the market since the second week of October. It's been under contract 3 times. 3 times. Guys, never would have expected that. That's clearly softness in the market. Now, they also thought that they had me right where they wanted me. Didn't work out for them. Because you have to know, your seller. So my burn on that house, meaning the amount of money that I spent every single month to keep that house, was only about $500, maybe $550. It was basically taxes and what the oil cost was to keep it heated. And people are making these obnoxious, disrespectful offers. And that might get you somewhere with somebody that needs to sell. It gets you nowhere with somebody that doesn't need to sell. So it was a very quick no. And they would say, well, just counter us. Full price. Well, that's ridiculous. That's what it is. If you don't like it, move along. So we got this one under contract a first time. They put it under. It was 3 So it was listed for 400K. We agreed on 390. And then it was basically as is. Then they come back and they say, hey, we want another 20 more. So we want 370. I said, absolutely not. They was like, well, what are you going to give us back? What are you willing to give us back? I said, 0. Told my agent, I said, nothing. We're not going any lower than that. That's the number, because that's just, if you don't like it, too bad. Go buy another house. They're going to be professional lookers, because the criteria by which they judge things and how they felt about certain things in houses, they can only buy a new house. And the sad thing is they're too broke to be able to buy a new house. So unless they want to move like an hour further north. The second deal, it was basically, hey, here's our offer, take it or leave it. Absurd. It was 360, and they were like, that's the max. I go, I said no to 380. Why would I say yes to 360? Because I like 360 better than 380. Like, that's just dumb. And so then we got to this current deal, and it was much more reasonable. I won't disclose all the details, but much more reasonable. It was, I gave up something, they gave up something, but it's definitely a deal that's going to work for them. And most importantly is they're getting a huge value in what was done in the house. They're actually really smart to be buying now. They're very smart to be buying at the price that they're buying at, because quite frankly, I could just wait 3 months until the springtime and I could easily get 5 or 7% more. For me, it's what I get to do with the property. If I sell it now. So timing in some cases does actually matter. So what I would tell you is if you have a house for sale right now, I get it. It's going to be tough. There's a lot of markets that are tough right now. Some are up, like Dion's was up like 10%. Mine was down 10%. We did CMAs, market analysis, current market analysis on these different properties. We did full CMAs, 19-page reports, had an appraiser look at it, the whole nine. And they're like, yeah, I mean, the house is worth 450. It actually appraised for a little bit more, appraised for like 468. And we pulled it off the market after we brought it down to 425. Then we brought it down to 400. We pulled it off the market. I was like, I'm not selling it for less than that. So we just decided to pull that off the market. Now I'm going to do some things like that. And I'm going to talk to you guys about a pivot right there that's going to actually help you. Hyder, have a great night, my friend. I just saw that out of the corner of my eye. Have a great night, buddy. But as we look at what really this market is comprised of, I can tell you before the election, it was really scary. It was really scary. The spigots were shut off. Nothing was moving. There was definitely a pause. The good news is that pause is gone. Now people are back in it. However, rates have increased. It's definitely slowed down all of the move-up buyers in our area. The only stuff that's trading is on the lower end. But you know what the number one asset is in this market? The number one asset? Small multifamily. Small multifamily is smoking it. Multiple offers, overpriced. All of this stuff is trading for more than it's ever traded before. Why? Because I've always told you, small multifamily is where it's at. Far more resilient than single family. It actually drives income. And so a lot of the people that used to only consider a single family are now buying small multis, 2s, 3s, and 4s. We've broken some records. We've broken records in recent months with 4 units selling. You could buy a 4-unit probably 5 years ago. You could probably buy that for $500,000, and now it's over $1 million. It's over $1 million now to buy a 4-unit where we are. Thankfully, I got a bunch of them. But that's the crazy thing is now they're $1 million. Well, now in order to get the rents that justify $1 million price, well, you got to be at like $2,500, and you got to hope you got some 3 bedrooms in there. It really should be more focused on what the actual price per bedroom is, as opposed to what the actual price per unit is. So it's really, 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 really crazy. Thanks, D. But these are all things that you really need to stay focused on in your own specific market. That's why largely like the national numbers, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to them. Generally speaking, it's nice to kind of understand where the national number is, just because can you then kind of gauge the health of a market? Yeah, you probably can, but that's of the overall market. I can tell you in my market, I can tell you that there's a lot more rentals in inventory than there were 6 months ago. I can tell you that the quality of tenant is still largely in the toilet. We used to look at it. We would get like 70% of the tenants that weren't any good. And, 25% of them were really good. They were kind of like right in our ballpark. And then that 5% was, hey, you're going to get this person, but in 12 months or 2 years, they're going to be gone somewhere else in the country, or they're going to have bought a house somewhere here locally. And those are nice tenants and everything. But the problem with that is that I don't want a tenant turnover knowing I'm going to get one every 12 to 24 months. I don't want that. That's kind of painful. I want to see if I can get longer term out of that. So that 25%, but what changed in the market, it went from literally 70% of tenants not being any good to like 90%. It was like 90%. 90% of the apps that we were getting were people with bad credit, were people that weren't making a lot of money. It was bad. It was really, really bad. Now, that's one of the things that we've seen change. We've seen it kind of go back a little bit, where I wouldn't say it's still, 95% are bad or 90% are bad, and then 5%, are decent, and then 5% are really good. I would say it's probably 80%. I'd say we're still not back to a normal rental market. I'd say 80% of tenants are pretty bad, and 10 make the cut. 10 or 15 make the cut, and they're pretty good. And then 5%, again, that 5% really hasn't changed. It's people saying, hey, you know what, we'll just wait another 6 months or a year or whatever, or maybe 2 years before you buy something. Now, that could always end up being longer, but if that's the stated goal, and I have the other option, which is I can see that these people have like $3,000 or $4,000 in savings. They both have high 600 credit scores, and they have decent income. I'll take them all day long over somebody that's got an 800 credit score. We just took somebody. It's going to be very interesting to see. You guys know how I feel about people with 800 credit scores, but it's going to be very interesting to see because this 800 credit score, ay caramba. Literally, we get a phone call the day that they move in. Guys, we're very, very concerned. And we're like, what? Very concerned. Why? What's the problem? What's going on? Very concerned. The cable company was here and they can't find the hookup in the living room. Okay. Very concerned. Very concerned. That was what you were very concerned about. I don't like your tactics. Like, that's a crazy response. I'm very concerned. There wasn't a cable hookup there. There was a cable line that was fed up from where it comes into the house. It was fed in from there, and it was actually put through the hole, and literally somebody just pushed it down through the floor. That was the extent of this grave concern. And holy cow, what this is a major problem. Not a major problem. You need to redefine. You need to work on your vocabulary. So I say all that to say this. Definitely your market is hyperlocal. There absolutely was this apocalyptic feeling before the election. Now that we are post-election, everything absolutely has started moving. And now we're going to wait and see what happens in January, February, and March. See what the new administration does and see if they're going to do something to goose the market. I bet they probably do. And the question is that does that really return demand, or are they've said it a couple of times. Trump has said it, and Elon has said it, and a few other guys have said it. Hey, we're going to take some medicine. I don't know. Maybe do we take some medicine? It'll be kind of interesting to see if we do. But yeah, it's more than just a little bit crazy. So anyway, let's jump in. Let's get some of your guys' questions. It's great to be with you. We're going to keep the momentum. Hyder, I know you're shut off for the evening. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us even for a little bit of time. Jason Calasabetta, hello, sir. Rehab North Carolina Houses, NC Houses LLC. Trying to fill a vacant unit now, and it's a nightmare. I completely understand. That's one of the reasons that our students say that one of the most valuable parts of our course is how we rent out our units. Dion saw a 400% increase in the number of tenants that he had applying. We see it across the board because I have 27 years in corporate sales and marketing. I use some things from that, and I also use some things of just learning lessons of having done this for 27 years. We get you a ton of opportunities at getting your units rented, and that's very often where it comes from. It very often comes from getting a lot more ups than the next guy. And that's one of the big parts of the course is here's exactly how you market your unit, where, how, the wording you should use, building your rent box. It's a whole system that we use, and that's what helps people propel growth. That's why, in all honesty, a lot of people have said you could just sell that course by itself. I don't want to. I want it all in there and all in one. But again, this is an area that's of grave concern. Yes, you want to know how to manage your unit, take care of your unit, field calls from tenants and all that stuff. You need to get the tenant first. you got to get the right tenant first. And that's one of the things that we're really good at. The reason I can tell you we're really good at that is we have over 4,000 years of tenant years, 4,000 tenant years, and we only have 24 evictions out of 4,000 tenant years. People don't have numbers like that. What I can tell you is those 24 out of those 4,000 years, I can tell you 12 of those came from one emergency rental assistance program. And that's where we actually got, because otherwise we'd have only about 12, maybe 13 that were outside of that. So those are some of the interesting numbers. Rictavius, good to see you. Oscar, good to see you. Hey, Johnny Ramirez, good to have you here, my man. Mr. Farinelli, good to see you. Driving in Maine right now. Need to stay awake, so good job offending me. Perfect. That's just what I was trying to do, actually. Rick Carrington, good to see you. Good to see you. BuzzTune, always good to see you. Rictavius, send me a message on Instagram. Thank you, sir. Crazy week. I'll tell you guys about it next week. More than a little bit crazy. Jason Sorno, how do I know how much to rent my primary home for if there are zero comps within the same county? So one of the things that I start looking at what the other comps are, like it's a non-comp, if that makes sense. So what I mean by that is, let's say you have a 3-2, 3 beds, 2 baths, and you can't find, nothing else is 3-2. Well, I look at 3 1s, I look at 3 3s. More what I'm looking at is kind of style of the building, style of the unit, like what people's impressions are going to be. So I'm trying to find just like things. So if I also think, hey, I have kind of a price range in mind, then what I do is I say, okay, let's say it's $2,000. I put something in there and say, $1,800 to $2,200. And then I do a search and see what's available to me between $1,800 and $2,200. If I see what's available to me and I see nothing that competes with mine, i.e. they're all worse neighborhood, they're all smaller yard, they're all X, Y, or Z, right? What I'm looking for is I'm looking to try and find, it's not an exact science, but there's a combination of art and science to this, where it will give you the ability to understand exactly what your competition is. And that can be how you can price. So if you can't find an exact comp of exactly, I can't find a 3-1 out there, I can't find a 3-2 out there, start to look and see what's for rent in a price range, because then you're at least going to market knowing what else they're going to look at. People don't just put I want to look at everything that's $2,000. They say 2,000 and below or 2,200 and below. That's a lot of times why you do 1995. It might seem like a sales gimmick, but it gets you in the filter under $2,000 and it puts you at the top. Little tip that you might learn from the course. So that's what I would be thinking about, Jason. Laura, hey, good to see you, Laura. Johnny Cashflow Ramirez, I need that course. I'd love to have you in the course, Johnny. Rictavius, sent you a message on Instagram. Thank you, sir. She Invests. My tenants just gave me notice that they're buying a house. Yep, we settled on them paying 14 months in full and forfeit security deposit of their 2-year lease. Oh my goodness, you got one heck of a deal. Well negotiated, She Invests. Well negotiated. I plan to list the unit for the same rent I'm getting now rather than raising it. I just want to get it leased. I completely understand that. I don't know what the rules are in your state. I know that you can reach an agreement where they basically pay that fee to get out of the lease. You have to be careful. In my state, I can't double dip. So in my state, if I rent out a unit for $2,000 and they say, hey, we want to break the lease, I say, okay, and then they pay the fee to get out of the lease. However, if they paid for, let's say, May, and I rented out for May 15th, I actually technically have to give them back their money for the rest of May. Look and see what the rules and laws are in your state. It's just one of those things that you should be aware of. Ninja Vanish 247. Good to see you. Hi there. HOA Prez. Real estate is definitely location dependent. Absolutely. Housing prices and rents keep on going up in Silicon Valley. Of course, other locations have different market conditions. Yeah, and I think, like I said, I think that you haven't seen AI grab a hold hard enough yet. Silicon Valley is going to be one of the most decimated areas in the next 5 years. You watch, you wait and see. It's going to be, because there's a heavy concentration of tech there, and AI affects those tech jobs the most. When you look at, and I work in tech, when you look at the ability to QA code faster with no human interaction because you can do it with AI, when you look at being able to do all the nuanced things with testing and all this other stuff, guys, there's going to be a ton of jobs that are going to disappear out there fact, way it goes. And so that's what's going to be interesting is, and then those jobs are going to be more localized to places that have deployed AI, or kiosks, as an example. If you want to make $50,000 working McDonald's, congratulations, you're going to be out of a job in the next 2 to 4 years. Why? Because they can buy a kiosk that costs them $80,000. They can buy 10 of those things, and guess what? They never complain. They're never late for work, and all they have to depend on is probably 3 people. There are robots right now that McDonald's is testing in actually making the food. Look it up. There's been robots in surgery centers for almost a decade, maybe even more than a decade now. They're called Da Vinci's. Look it up. These are all things. I get tech. I spent 27 years in tech. World's going to be changing, especially in heavy tech centers. It's absolutely going to happen. Michelle Meyer, hello. Good to see you. Andres Matos, I have 9 rentals that almost all are breaking even, and some are a few hundreds of dollars cash flowing. I'm discouraged that my annual cash flow is only $30,000. So, Andres, what I would tell you is, you could be doing something wrong. You could also not be doing something wrong. One of the things that we focus on in the course, and the reason that I talk about it is because I can't spend the hour and a half long here kind of teaching this lesson. So one of the things that we talk about in the course is making sure you're maximizing your rental. And that could mean a number of different things. There's evaluating your market, really understanding your market. And a lot of landlords think, I understand my market. And you know what? A lot of them don't. It can be, getting better rental pressure by looking at a rent box. It could be providing more amenities. It could be a number of different things. And so as units come available, does it make sense to put more money into the unit because you will get a greater return? We have a unit that we just upgraded. We were getting $1,800 a month in rent, I think was the number. We were getting $1,800 a month in rent, but we went through, we upgraded the unit, and then we also added a bedroom. That actually brought us to $3,200. That's a $1,400 a month jump. Now, how much did I spend to get it to there? About $30,000. But that means it's going to have a 2-year return on my capital. But what's more important is it makes the property value go up as well. So I'm going to be paying myself back with those rents. I've got that much higher of a rent. And now the property's worth that much more if I have to go sell it, because somebody's going to look at it and say, wow, they're getting $3,200 a month rent there. Now the other 2 units that are there, yeah, you guessed it, those prices are absolutely going up. Now we had to do that one first because now we get a good tenant in there with a beautiful unit, and then we go to the next one. So very often when you don't have enough margin there, where you're not making enough money, very often there's things that you can do, tweaks and pieces and adjustments that you can make. There's things like that you can do that absolutely will get you more money. There's things that you can do that absolutely will get you better tenants. And that's was the reason for the course. I don't really teach anything in the course about here's how to buy real estate. There's 1,000 courses out there. And in fact, there's 2 really good ones, Dion and Zuber. Those are great units, with great courses when it talks about buying property. When it talks about marketing the property and how you manage that asset and work through that process, there's absolutely ways to cut costs. There's absolutely ways, I look at it, and one of the things that we talked about, Three Amigos yesterday, was one of the things you need to look at is not just buying the next duplex or the next single family. One of the next things you need to be looking at is what money can I invest in my unit that's going to get me a return? Guys, what's the return? What's the return if I put, $15,000 into a unit or $30,000 into a unit, and I'm going to get paid, an extra, $1,400 a month times 12. So, I'm looking at basically another $17,000, call it $34,000 in 2 years. That is less than a 2-year return. That means that my return on my capital is 50%. It's about 50% is my return on capital. What deal are you finding out there that you're going to get 50% return on your capital? Focus back on your business and say the opportunity now isn't necessarily for growth, but it might be for margin expansion. That's where the next opportunity is in many different rentals. Dion, thanks so much. It's true. Every single time you do hit the like button, an angel does get their wings. I've seen it firsthand. Let's see. HOA price. My credit is good as everybody has a piece of it. I know, right? Andres Matos, all under property management. Yeah, I mean, it might be time to look at a different property manager. One of the things that we teach in my course is not just self-management, but how to manage a property manager. The reason I know how to do this is because I had some property managers and they all sucked. They were all horrible. But the same things that you need to know to manage your business if you're managing it are the same things that you need to know if you're managing somebody else who's managing it. And the key is that what I talk a lot about is insourcing your property management, setting up systems and setting up processes that mean that you don't need that person. And that's one of the major keys. Because imagine you're only netting $30,000 in a year. Imagine if you could walk away from that property manager, you'd probably go to 50 or 60. That's how you help fix that problem. By understanding all the things that you can insource, how you can manage those pieces, that's how you get back. That's how you move the ball forward. HOA Prez, I am shocked that I can't find the cable line. I know, it's ridiculous. Yeah, it was crazy. Cash flow is reading. Howdy, everybody. She invests overqualified tenants. That's where I went wrong on my first rental. Yeah, that's exactly it. Everybody gets all giddy because they're like, oh, 805 and 809, they're of course going to pay their bills. What's that? They make 6x what the rent is. Guys, they're not going to be there for any long amount of time. They're smart enough to have really good credit and they're smart enough to have really good jobs. They're not sticking. They are blowing that joint. They are getting out of that popsicle stand. That's exactly what's happening. So yeah, that's one thing you absolutely have to watch for sure. Let's see. Hyder. I'll let Matt address this, though. I really need to be here at dinner. I'll listen later on to get the info. Much love, everybody. Again, Hyder, good to see you. Yeah, often the problem with PMs is that they have their guy go and see an issue or they field the call. And then after they field the call, then they send somebody else out to then fix the issue. Guys, there's better ways of doing it. That's why I created the process of insourcing your property management. If you insource your property management, you get paid to manage your own property. Insource it. That's the way to do it. Liz, hey, Matt, how long will you be offering your course and bootcamp? It's something I don't need now, but I definitely plan on taking it later as I scale. Or would somebody with one rental benefit from it? I think that we have people with no rentals that benefit from the course. Here's why. It sets you up for the way that you want to build your business. It lets you see things through the eyes of somebody who's already built a business of over 100 rentals. Now, I can tell you from 0 to 10 is kind of one, from 10 to 20, 25 is kind of another. After 25, it's just the same thing, just scaling. And it's absolutely doable. So I will tell you that there's people that have 0 rentals. In fact, Wealth Building Journal, zero rentals. Tiffany Macris, 0 rentals. There were a bunch of people with 0 rentals that jumped into the course because it teaches them to go down the certain path, a certain way that ensures master that stuff. One of the things, Dylan McMahon is another one. Dylan McMahon went down the path. You know, he took the course, I think 4 times because I don't limit the number of times you can take it, but he took it 4 times. When he starts acquiring assets, he's going to know exactly what to do with them. When problems arise, this is how I handle it. When this problem comes up, this is how I handle it. That's the key. The key is understanding how to handle something like a pro before you ever had to walk a mile in their shoes, right? These are all things that was like, man, if I'd known that before, if I had my course 20 years ago when I started, 22, 23 years ago when I started, I probably would have almost twice as many units. And I would probably be 3 times wealthier. It's that big of a difference because it sets you on a trajectory. It sets you on a path. And there might be things that you go, you know what? I don't want to do it that way. That's awesome. But understand why it was done the way that it was done. And then maybe you do it differently. And maybe that's more successful. It's possible. Not likely, but it's possible. Jen Tam, hi. I made one of these. Jen Tam, good to have you. I don't know what it is, Jen Tam. You come up in my Facebook feed all the time. It's kind of ridiculous. You are there all the time. Let's see. Cadilla 14. Good evening, Matt and everyone. Hey, Cadilla 14. Good to have you. HOA Prez. Hopefully everybody has a safe and happy holiday season. I agree, HOA Prez. Wayne Wong, there he is. The silent assassin, Wayne Wong. Rick Carrington, I plan on renting my place out in the future. The carpet is old, but in okay shape. The question is, should I replace it with LVP before renting it or after. I think that there's really nothing that you can do wrong in that regard. I think if you start getting people that are bouncing back off you, if you already know that you want to replace it, and just so you know, most judges, if somebody ruins your carpet, most judges are going to give you a 7-year amortization on carpet, maybe even a 5-year amortization on carpet. So long as they're kind of salvageable and they're okay, I wouldn't mind necessarily leaving them in there. Because I don't think that it's kind of like a roof. Unless the roof is a problem, I don't want to be so far in front of it that I lose years by getting out of my old roof 5 years before I needed to, and then starting the ticker on my new roof 5 years before I needed to. Does that make sense? So I would put it out there, try and rent it, see what the responses are. If you're starting to get the same response over and over again, which is, the carpet's really tired. Yeah, the carpet's really tired. Then it's time to make the change. Make the change, shift it up. That's what I would do. Laura San Diego, Matt, you mentioned last week that you lower rent. Do you prefer lower rent than offer a concession? No, I prefer to offer a concession. The problem is the other concessions that were being offered in the market before the election were ridiculous. I wasn't willing to offer a $1 security deposit. Wasn't willing to do that. I wasn't willing to give them a month's free rent or more up front. So I can tell you that in all of those cases, we had one of them that went down. Our realized negative was like 6%, I think it was how much that rent went down, was 6%. But if it were 3 months from now or 4 months from now, we would have gotten the same market rent. It was just, the problem was it was a very unique unit, and it was also right around Thanksgiving. And I was just like, if I miss another month, I'm going to lose this money anyway. I'm going to lose more than this. I had somebody that was willing to move in 4 days because they said, hey, I've already given my notice over at my other place. They told me I can do month to month and I can give an extension, but they're basically expecting me to be out by the end of the month. So they were able to move in by the 1st. I saw all of their payments to their landlord. I saw that they were on time with everything. I saw that, I saw the amount come out every single month. It was exactly the same. It was to a property management company. So they were clearly being honest, and they had no problem. They had, I want to say they had 15 grand in savings. So they had a 738 or 768 credit score. It was a good credit score too. So it was just a great opportunity. Now, it was how we wrote the ad. We drove a lot of attraction to that unit based on how we wrote the ad. And we said no to a lot of people. We kissed a lot of frogs on that one because we had people that were just like, oh, well, no, we'll definitely pay you. Like, we had somebody apply with a 540 credit score. This is a $2,000 a month, 1 bedroom. I don't believe you. You're a dumpster fire. Get away from me. Nope. Hard pass. So Laura, to answer your question, my preference is concessions. Absolutely. It just can't be a ridiculous concession. One of the things that we did on one unit was we said, we kicked in the parking pass, which is like $75 a month. But then when they negotiate a lower price, I said, that's fine, but you have to pay the parking pass. So that's why the thing only went down like, what is that? 5% maybe 10%, 5%. Yeah. It was like 6%. Yeah. It was like 6% maybe is what it went down. Robert Fairnley, whatever Matt tells me, small multifamily is going up like Bitcoin. Always felt like I am going to get screwed for not buying enough fast enough. True story. I mean, that's the thing that I see, right? I'm seeing multifamilies now trading at 650 that 5 years ago traded for 350. You just can't have that FOMO. You can't have that fear of missing out. You got to make sure that the rents are keeping up with the prices. And I think that a lot of them have gotten to the point where, well, it's a good appreciation play. Well, I'm going to let that moron buy it then. I'm not buying for appreciation. I buy for cash flow. That's what I buy for. The Riley A-OK. Thanks for doing these. What would you do? You're very welcome, the Riley A-OK. Thank you for attending. If you guys didn't show up, I'd just be screaming at a camera. So it kind of works out. Thanks for doing these. What would you do? Replace a blower motor to a 1992 furnace, replace the system, $750 for the motor, maybe $4K for a new one. Curious on your take. That is a great question, Riley A-OK. I would replace the system. There's 3 main components. There's the blower motor. There's going to be the board. Those 2 pieces are really the big ones. The problem that you have is when you replace that blower motor, you might get it, it might be good for another year or 2, but that board's not going to be far behind, in all honesty. I made that mistake. I made that mistake one time. I replaced the blower motor. And then 8 months later, 9 months later, the board went. And guess what I had to do? I had to buy the board. And then I was like, great. Now I have a 20-year-old forced hot air system with 2 brand new pieces in it that are the better pieces. But now other stuff is going to start wearing out. Sure enough, other stuff started wearing out, and then I'm playing catch up. So yeah, so for what it's worth, my take is I don't bother with that. I go right to, you know what, the better option for me is just get into a new system. You've gotten paid back nicely by that system since 1992. You've been paid back very well. Now you're talking 32 years old. Yeah, if you can get 32 years out of the next one, that thing's gonna last more than you owned it in any way. Liz, do you use some form of AI in your real estate investing business? Yes, I do. Yep, I sure do. Jason Santoro. So I'm testing the market for primary, and I dug in and found out that I can't remodel my basement. I can't remodel my basement as a duplex, but I can make it an in-law apartment, 1 bedroom to 2 bedrooms, if could get the rent. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The key is, egress windows become expensive, how you walk out of the basement and what their entryway is. All of that stuff matters. But what you need to find out is, like, that's a tougher unit to rent. So it's like in-law apartment. Okay, so what are the rules around that, right? That's where the devil's in the details. So what does that say you can do? What does that say you can't do? That's where I'm spending more time on that deal, digging deeper to try and find out what real permissions I have there. I'm looking for this house. Going to be a grand effing slam. Good. I love it. Hard choices, easy life. I like that. Matt, Laura, Ryan, it's Wandering Doc. Hey, what's up, Wandering Doc? Hard choices. Yeah. Which country I want to go do my practicing in. Good to see you. Kadia 14. Is it reasonable to ask a roofer to, 1, give an estimate with a breakdown of labor versus materials, 2, agree to use my credit card to buy materials, and 3, to have workers' comp, not just insurance? So yes, you can ask. There might be many that won't provide it to you because usually they don't break it down that way, because they don't want people knowing how much money they're making on labor. Roofing is one of those things where the cost of labor far exceeds the cost of materials. It does. If you're looking at a $7,000 roof, a lot of times you're looking at $2,500 worth of materials and $5,000 worth of labor. A lot of times. To agree to use my credit card and buy materials, I just ask them. I say, listen, I'm happy to pay you $100 to put together the list of the materials that you need. I'm happy to buy them. But you want to buy them, and then you want to manage that delivery of them. If I'm doing that, you have to be fair. If I'm having them still go shopping and them still go pick it up, then they need to make their money. The only way that I'm willing to, the only thing that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take all the load of that off their plate, so they just show up. Shingles are there, ridge caps there, ice and water's there, felt paper's there. There's a couple sheets of plywood there just in case. There's a booty for the stink pipe. That could be a good song. There's a booty for the stink pipe. Then there's step flashing, and then there's caulking. There's all of these things that they're going to need to be able to do the roof. So that's one of the things that I would consider is don't ask somebody to go do part of their job and not pay them the margin on materials. If you're going to do it, you need to do it all. You need to own that spot. You need to own that role, but pay them and say, hey, just send me a list of what you need and I'll take care of it. I'll make sure it's all there. Any lumberyard will deliver it. You just usually need to give them 3 to 5 days in order to deliver it. But yeah, just make sure that you're getting specifically kind of what you want. And that way it takes them completely out of the cage, out of the situation and out of the responsibility of it. And then if you get something wrong or you do something wrong, then you can return it and get something else. But that should be on your dime because you took their margin away in the deal. So I'm about being a fair guy. I don't expect my contractors to do all that work and then not get any money for materials. I don't expect that. So when they're figuring out materials list, when they're doing and putting that stuff together, guess what? I'm paying. That's the only fair thing to do. I want to pay them for that time. And then 3, to have workers' comp, not just insurance. Yeah, I mean, they almost always have workman's comp. I would be surprised if they didn't. Usually that's the insurance. So there's usually like liability, but there's also workman's comp. Jason Calasabetta, am I actually the only one, like, or is something broken? Am I actually the only one or something like broken? I don't know. What are you saying? More info. Rick Carrington, any thoughts about Salt Lake City, Utah hosting the Olympics in 2034? Home price is going to move up in the next 10 years? I have no idea. I've never done any correlation of Olympics to housing. I've never done anything like that. So possible. The thing that I don't like about Salt Lake is there were a ton of people that moved there from California, and I don't know how long they're going to stay. And that pushed up the pricing to something crazy. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Jack Stewart, sorry I'm late, everyone. I had this annoying thing called work get between me and this donkey choky pumpkin chucking live stream. I love that. Fun fact, I love how my phone, I've said donkey choky pumpkin chucking enough times that the predictive text suggests as soon as I got to dawn in donkey. Love that. Love that. That's phenomenal. Music Miracles just tuned in. What is the quick summary of the title Bloodbath RE? Music Miracles, here's the summary. It looked like a bloodbath before the election, and things were shaping up to be a bloodbath. It was nothing renting. It was nothing being seen or rented. It was nothing selling. It was traffic was way, way, way down. And then after the election, it still took another couple of weeks, but then everything kind of propped back up, and we saw a ton of things get rented. However, we still saw some specific asset softness where it was like, okay, is this the beginning of a trend, or is this just softness in this one area? Was where kind of that came from. Laura San Diego, hello. Hey, there's Chester, Wealth Building Journey. Good to see you, good sir. Jen Tam, I have a unit that's been sitting for 3 months. Oh my goodness, without a renter in the Texas market. Any other idea for concessions to create more interest? Unfortunately, we don't have a parking pass to offer. Jen, it really comes down to assessing that actual unit. We build rent boxes, and then from those rent boxes, that tells us exactly all of what our competition is doing. And then we'll be able to more accurately price it. It might be a pricing issue. It might be an amenities issue. It might be a location issue. It could be any number of things. It could be, no offense, how you're writing the ad issue. We've seen it. We've seen stuff. John Williams, who was on here very often. John, I had a brief conversation with John, and the thing went from he couldn't get it rented out for 2 months. We made a couple of adjustments in the ad, tweaked the pricing a tiny bit, and within, I think, 7 days, he was rented. That's how fast getting the right people to your ad can be. Just like anything else. Do you really think that the biggest difference between things in the market is the quality of the product? It's not. The biggest difference is how well they market the features of their product and how desirable those items are to the people that are trying to get that type of thing. Take it from a 27-year sales exec. 27 years I did that. 27 years. Know a little bit about how to get people to buy from a corporate B2B perspective. Those concessions screen panic. Yeah. Liz, can you share how you use AI, or do you have to get into boot camps and course? No, so I use AI a bunch of different ways. It's much more about, it's a long explanation because I came from an RPA AI background. So it's not meant only for boot camps. We do automate a lot of our systems. And so we'll use AI to do call outs and things like that in some cases. We'll certainly use AI to search files to find data. It does a better job than Excel and formulas. So yeah, we use it. Would it be, there's your next one. As a couple who doesn't want a W-2 and own construction business, would it be wise to flip for income and set aside that income for acquiring rentals? Yeah, I mean, Liz, you can certainly do that. That's a great idea if you own a construction business, for sure. One of the biggest, things that I tease agents about and why I think 90% of them are useless is because 90% of them don't even invest in real estate. That's their job. It's what they're paid to know about. Now, either they're fraudy and they don't really know the market. They don't really know what the value of things are. And they don't really know what they're doing, which is most of them. They're complete imbeciles. Many of them are that. But there's that some where they're just like, I'm just learning and I'm a sponge and I'm trying to learn everything I can about this market. That's what I love. I want them learning as much as they can about a market. I've never penalized anybody for learning. I've only penalized them for being apathetic and losers because they don't want to learn and they don't want to know. They're just like, yeah, that's not really my thing. That's not what I pay attention to. You better pay attention to it. So yeah, if you own a construction company already, you just need to find a way to start creating deals for yourself where you can utilize those skills to, put people there a day a week type of thing. And get some property moving. Like if you've got all that skill and you have all that cost structure, the best thing you can do is start finding ways to shop for real estate and then understand the market and kind of fill in the blanks. Quite frankly, a lot of what's in my course is that piece of it. It's the management of the asset. It's the finding of the tenants. It's the managing of the tenants. You guys already know the construction piece, and that's in there, but you guys already know the construction piece and then working with inspectors and things. But there's all the other pieces that go into it, which is finding the asset, managing the asset, how to buy it right, all of that stuff. But yeah, I think that'd be of huge value to you guys when you already own a construction business. Kyle Dorn, hello, sir. Good to see you. Farinelli, hard when small multifamily is skyrocketing and in growth mode. Yeah, I mean, that's a challenge that we're all in, though. I mean, small multifamily around the country is doing really, really well because it has lower supply. Dion was talking about the fact that he's only seen 2 4 units built in the last 4 or 5 years. Zub was saying that he hadn't really seen any multifamily. I've seen multifamily built. I've seen a lot of duplexes built, condexes, stuff that will be, we'll see what stuff turns into, later on in life, if you will. And then 4 units, we've seen, a number of those built. So we've seen a lot of that stuff built. And so it'll be just interesting to watch and see how that stuff kind of continues to unfold. Let's see. What specific brand of flooring do you use? So we don't have, we like Corlux, but there's other floors out there. Really what we're most concerned about is the wear layer, thick. Yeah, not the thinner stuff, the thick stuff. We like to use a commercial grade product in a residential application. That's what the winning combination is. Commercial grade flooring, usually is rated for, 7 or 10 years in a commercial space, but it's ranked for 15 or 30 in a non-commercial space. So you just want to make sure you install it per their instruction. And then if something fails, then you can bring it back. But we not only want that finish on the top, we also want the better click lock system of how they snap into each other. And that we want the thicker rigidity of it as well. We know it's going to go through more saw blades to install it, but I don't care about that. Jason Calasabetta, there was only one thumbs up for a long time. Now it's up to 17. 17? Guys, we have 70 people watching this. 17? 17? Dude, I'm going to go upstairs and freaking watch my Bruins game. That's all we can do. Really, guys? That hurts. Luke Devine, finally, will I need to rip out the baseboard when installing LVP? Nope, you don't have to. There's a bunch of different ways you can install it. You can install your LVP, and then you can do a piece of quarter round that goes all the way around. I don't particularly like the quarter round. I actually like to buy like another piece that's just like a height thing and then just add to the baseboard and make it look more formidable. I think it looks much better than quarter round, but quarter round's cheaper, and that's usually what people do. Or you can yank the stuff and, you can yank your baseboard and then rebase it afterwards. Don't really love that. It's a kind of a waste of time and money. The other thing you can do is you can flush cut everything, and that just takes a decent amount of time, but you can still do it. HOA price. If you have a vacant unit, then use the holidays to remodel the unit. Yeah, sometimes, depends. If I'm looking at a unit that's empty and I can't actually get any more return on it if it's remodeled, or the return, would take me $15,000 to remodel it, and I'm going to get $200 more in rent. It's kind of a horrible idea, right? $2,400 a month. It means it's going to take 6 years plus, call it 7 years to repay me my money. Yeah, I don't want to spend my money that way. That's a bad return on my investment. So, that's, and then the other thing that a lot of people don't think about is nicer units typically rent faster. That's true. And that's why we like to upgrade our units. But I wouldn't be just carte blanche because it's empty remodeling it. I would be looking at like the lumberjack list and saying, hey, these are the 3 or 4 things we can do. They're going to really up the value and the perceived value of the unit that don't really cost a whole lot of money. There's a lot of stuff like that. Luke Devine, finally. Oh, no. Rich Hilarious? Rich Hilarious? Matt, have you done any ground up purpose built rentals that are perfect for maintenance and are bulletproof? So when we rehab them, Rich Hilarious, that's actually one of our goals. One of our goals is to make it kind of bulletproof. And so we've not done foundation pour up, but we've done everything else. So we've taken retrofitted a house to make it kind of bulletproof where we don't have to mess around with it anymore. So like PEX lines and an upgraded panel, things that when we've touched them, they're good for 30 years, 35 years. They're using solid core doors instead of hollow core doors, and using AZEK on outdoor steps as opposed to pressure treated wood. There's a lot of things that we do in that rehab process where we're vastly improving the product. Going with a higher end vinyl replacement Energy Star Plus window instead of just it's a slim line. Whoop-de-doo. No big deal. So yeah, good call. Kyle Dorn. Anyone considering the boot camp, I'd strongly recommend it. In it now and worth every penny. Best thing ever. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Kyle. I appreciate that. I mean, he's not wrong. I tell you what, we spend 2 hours a week on that thing. We haven't had a week under 3 hours, and we've had a bunch of weeks at 4 hours. 4 hours. You get me for 4 hours. And all I do is answer 12 to 15 people's questions. That's all I do. That's all I'm there for. It's the best value on the internet by far. To get me for that amount of consulting time, if it were one-on-one, that would cost it'd probably cost you between $10,000 and $15,000. And the boot camp's $1,000. Yep. We will be we're announcing a boot camp that we're going to do in the beginning of next year. But then, as you guys know, I usually take the summers off. I usually take the spring off and the summers off. And I just never know when I'm going to do the next boot camp. I just never know. Kadia 14, I'm willing to pay a roofer time to buy and arrange for materials or a reasonable overhead profit markup. Would that work? Am I looking to take advantage of 0% APR credit cards? Yeah. So, I mean, again, that's where I just paid them for their time. You're muddying the waters if you're trying to get, well, I'll do this, but I'll do this, but I'll do this, but I'll do this. You're muddying the waters. You're either getting the material based on the list that he got you, paying for it, getting it delivered, or you're not. And if you're not, then you got to let the guy make the margin. REI Jared, how's it going? Usually can't make it, but jumped on to say, hey, listen for a bit. REI Jared, always good to have you, sir. HOA Prez, if you want artificial intelligence, then go to Congress and you will find artificial intelligence. Barry Goldwater. Pretty funny. Yeah, there's no intelligence there. It's Jen Tam, I'm having contractors walk properties with the agent before making offers. I like that. Should I pay for the contractor for the visit so they don't feel like I'm wasting their time? Most of the deals don't work out numbers wise. Yeah, if you're doing it time after time, like give them something for their time. You want them to keep on doing it, right? And yeah, they're going to get the work eventually, but what if they don't? Like, you got to take care of the people that you're going to be in the boat with. So for me, if I keep on doing them one after another, my guys, I do so many deals, or not so many, but I do enough deals where they know that they get the business, that they're willing to come and take a look at something, for an hour. But if you're doing that as a process and you're doing it over and over again, I love the process, but pay them something. Their time is worth something too. Jack Stewart, I'm working on a website for my rentals that can show rentals that are up for rent, have applications and other stuff. The really cool part of this is that I have AI that can answer questions. Love that. Yeah, a lot of the bots out there are really good. Luke Devine, Dion, too many emails to get through. Yeah, I know. Love to hear it. Exactly. It's truthfully what happened. Truthfully, he's like, yeah, we're not really getting any traffic. I go, just send me the ad. And so I see the ad. And I'm like, yeah, that's why. So I completely changed the ad like a spigot overnight. They were rented within 5 days. Done. REI Jared, 23 likes now. Still really light, guys. Really light. Based on the fire that I'm throwing 7 different kinds of smoke right now. Speaking of LVP, says Kadia. Jack Stewart. And tenant phone calls and be able to call contractors. Yes. So we have all that. We have all that already set up. It's very valuable. We love it. Kyle Dorn. Kadia. Speaking of LVP, what is the minimum layer thickness you would use in a basement to cover 9-inch asbestos tiles? Would you still opt for the 20 mil or can you go lower, say 12 mil? I want something. The thickness of it really is much more about how's the subfloor, what's the condition of that. It also matters what kind of pad you're going to use. That's where it makes sense to go to like LL Flooring or something like that and just consult with them and talk to them about this is the application. And then they'll say, hey, this is the right pad for that. This is the right flooring for that. What I'm most concerned about is flex. When those things flex and those edges move and you've got the cheaper flooring, it's basically the attachment and tongue and groove setup that I'm more concerned about than the thickness. I like the thicker bodied flooring because it doesn't feel like there's any flex to it. Just a higher quality product. And again, you're paying exactly the same amount to install one versus the other. The difference between, if you're doing 500 square feet, the difference between a 250 square foot and a 450 square foot, it's $1,000. It's $1,000. That's not the place to save. You want good quality product that feels like it's quality when people are standing on it, for sure. Kyle Dorn, Jen, what works for my market is I write the offer contingent on X person walking it. I'm out of state. If we get close on numbers, and I'll send X person in. And yes, absolutely pay X person. Yeah, totally agree. Good call, Kyle. You can tell he's in the boot camp, and he's smart and handsome. Jordan Outlaw, I have a boiler and have a guy that says it could have a bad bladder and a bad gasket. Also not vented properly. It is in a 1930s home with poor insulation. Do I try and save it? I'm looking at the numbers, Jordan. That's what I'm looking at. How old's the boiler? Like if you're already talking that thing's, 30 years old, 35 years old, like I have boilers that are 40 years old. If they like start to give up the ghost, I'm not fighting to keep it. I'm just saying, you know what? Thank you very much, Mr. Boiler. You gave me 40, 45, 50 years. Cool. Let's get out. Let's get out now. It's time to save. So I would want to look at that's what I would want to look at. I would want to look at, how old the thing is, what that cost is going to be. And that should really give you a lot of the data that you need to make the right decision. Jason Calasabetta. Yes, the boot camp is fantastic. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to miss this Saturday. Oh, dude. I'm sorry. That's all right. It'll be recording. All that stuff should be uploaded next week, which I'm super pumped about. It's not going to have the timestamps on that I wanted, but I'm going to at least have all the boot camps uploaded there for you guys. Jen Tam. Thanks, Matt. Super helpful. Jen Tam, you're always welcome. REI Jared, for those that poop on W-2s, I just found a credit unit that does 10% down investment properties with those that have a W-2. Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Mountain America Credit Union. I never poo-poo on W-2s. I had one for 27 years. Could I have retired 10 years ago? Yep. It helped me grow my business bigger. It helped me grow my business faster. So I wasn't on a rush to like, hey, I got to get out. I generally speaking liked my job. The last year or two of my job, it changed. And then some life circumstances changed for me as well. Like my daughter getting cancer and her being sick, and that kept me there longer. And then essentially then being able to walk away. So yeah, huge. Don't be in a rush to run out of your day job. Be healthy. Have a good, healthy rental business. Be flipping. Have good, healthcare. One of the things that's awesome for our vets is we take care of vets. So if you're a veteran, yeah, by all means, that's free healthcare. You know how much my healthcare costs a month? $3,000. $3,000 a month is how much my healthcare costs. $3,000 a month. Yeah, that's a lot of money. You got to make 5 to keep 3. So $5,000 of income a month is what my healthcare costs. It's expensive. So you have to look at the situation you're in. Do you have young kids? Do you want kids? Are your kids older and they're out? Are your kids going to be in high school and trying to go to college? You need to be able to help pay that. It's really a very specific and very personal decision that you guys get to make on your own, based on that. But weigh all the figures. Flavio Macias, good evening all from Grandview, Washington. Good to have you here, Flavio. Rick Carrington, my favorite quote from you is dance with the person that brought you to the dance. Yes, sir. Awesome advice. You got to do it. Dance with the one who brung you. If you don't, why would they ever bring you again? And I have people bring me over and over and over and over and over. And that's what I love. It makes it really, really, really important to maintain those relationships. And it's just the right thing to do. Put yourself in their shoes. Man, I brought that guy like 2 deals, and neither time he's used me to list it when he sold it, Neither time did he use me to rent it. Like, F Rick. Frick. Luke Devine, what is the height thing you use for the baseboard when doing the floor? You can literally just take a piece of whatever flooring you're using, and you can just you can basically just do a cut all the way around the floor, and then that piece of flooring will then slide under. You can do that. Jen Tam, thank you, Coffee, for your input as well. Yeah, I agree. Luke Devine, always appreciate these lives, Matt. Words can't describe. Luke Devine, my pleasure. Happy to do this with you and for you. Kyle Dorn, I'm going to need help with backsplash ordering from that supplier you like this Saturday. Yeah, I'm happy to do it. So for those of you guys who don't know, American Tin, I think is what they're called. We buy their raw product. You can make whatever selection you'd like, but it's like $2 a square foot. So when you're thinking about 18 inches between the top of the counter and the bottom of the cabinet, you're basically a square foot and a half around, and you might be 10 linear feet. This is how I do amazing looking backsplashes for less than $50. You can't beat that. And how fast you can install them. You can install that in a few hours, and it looks spectacular. Rick Carrington, my favorite advice from you is, yep, I already saw that one. Sorry about that. Andres Matos, you pay a fortune health insurance just to get denied. So we don't, I mean, certainly some things don't qualify, but usually we know what those things are. Yeah. Rich Hilarious. Wait, what? Thanks for that, REI Jared. I'm renovating, have Matt in the background and chilling. Laying LVP on my new rental on my new rent by the room house hack. Rich Hilarious. I love that. There's no better thing to listen to than the Lumberjack Landlord when you are working on a project in your units, because if you get stuck, I can help. But yeah, guys, there's just a ton of, there's still with these small multifamilies, they're still going up in my area. They're still getting more and more expensive. Single families have absolutely faltered. And it's a challenge. Yeah, REI Jared and where is he? REI Jared and Rich Hilarious. Yeah, you guys need to connect. Because there's a lot of opportunity there. Dion Talk Financial Freedom. Will you be at the Vegas Denny's midnight meetups? Yes, I will. I don't know if I won't be there for the Wednesday one, but I will be there for the Thursday one. Because we have 4 children that we are dropping off. So we want to make sure that, so we will be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We're going to be in Vegas for 5 days. Get some me and just wifey time, which I'm super excited about. I'm not yawning about that. Rich Hilarious. Yes, I'm on my 4th in Dallas, Fort Worth. Nice. I'll find you on Insta. Cool. All right. I will be there Wednesday and Thursday for Vegas also, Dion. Very cool. Yeah, we'll be there for Thursday nights, but we won't be there for Wednesday nights. We tried to get a flight out for Wednesday, but you guys are all staying in the same time zone. I have to fly across the country. So it's a 6.5-hour flight and blah, blah, blah. And so even if you get a direct flight, it's 6 hours, and they only have like 3 or 4 a day that leave, maybe 5 a day that leave on the only airline that I will fly. Excuse me. I'm exhausted. I have to get a tooth pulled tomorrow. Yep, I cracked it. Being over enthusiastic. Monkeith Hajaj. I hope I did that okay. It's Mike's fault. He encouraged people to give those non-respectful offers. Yeah, no kidding. Trust me on this. I scolded him about it. The funny thing is they're all people that are trying to buy it for themselves. They're not going to make it a rental. And the other crazy thing about it is that it's just them thinking that they have that opportunity. And by all means, have a blast. Like, go ahead, try it. No big deal. But all these agents got pissed when I said no. Like, grow up. What is wrong with you? You offered me a garbage number and you're mad that I said no. Pound sand. See ya. Angel R, how much are you paying per square foot for concrete work in your area? Oof. I don't pay by the square foot for concrete work. Because the only concrete work we really do around here, it's really asphalt pavement. It's not really concrete. So the only concrete work that we ever have is like brick and mortar. because there's a lot of brick houses here. Or we'll have something called skinning, which is you have an old brick foundation or something like that, and you basically apply a skin to it, which really stands up. That's the only thing. I'll see you Thursday to give you your shirt. Oh, dude, I can't wait. I'm so super excited for that. Emailing you several times to check your spam. Yeah, Jack, I absolutely will. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I am a little bit behind in all honesty, but I will absolutely check it. Let's see. Kyle Dorn. When are you buying your own plane? Yeah, these flight times are peasants. Kidding, of course. So I did look into, so funny story, and it's not because I'm that guy. Maybe I am that guy. I don't know. I don't think I'm that guy because I look at the price of a plane and I was like, hell no. And then I looked at the price of even a private charter and I was like, F no. I was like, I'm not paying that for one stupid trip. Guys, I am a commercial flyer. That's what I am. Because my head and my heart cannot get behind flying private if I have to pay for it. Can't get behind it. It's expensive. It's expensive. It's like I looked at chartering a flight out to Vegas for me and my 4 kids, and it was insane. It was like $30-something thousand. No freaking way. Each way. We fly round trip for like $3,000. Yeah, I'm not spending 20 times that. Hell no. I don't think so. I don't think so. All right, Jared, dude, Mike saved me $120K, bought my 3rd house, listed at $585, and after 3 months picked it up for $465. Found out later he had a HML on it and needed to get out. Nice. I love it. I love it. Did you, and I write disrespect for offers as well. My agent doesn't cry when they say no. That's all. Sean Lambert, do you ever resurface? Oh yeah, for sure. Resurface a bathtub. So there's a product out there. I gotta find the name. I can't remember the name of it. There's one out there that's pretty decent. It's a roll-on. It's pretty decent for what we do with being rentals. We don't want to do that ourselves. We just pay the money and pay to have it resurfaced because the enamel that they put on there, it's usually warranted for a year or two. And if you're going to have any problems, they're going to come up in the first couple of years. But I want something that's bulletproof. It's going to last for 30 years. We have stuff that we did 15 years ago, still hasn't had any issue. 15 years ago. I don't know that any of the ones that you're going to get in the cans are going to be nearly that good. It's kind of like, buying paint in a can versus bringing it to a paint shop and having them spray it. Yeah, they know what to do to get it hard. They know what to do to make sure it doesn't have an orange peel to it. There's just a lot of things that they're the experts. For me, it's not worth the savings of like $600 when I want to have the thing for a long time. I want it to stay in great shape. I want it to always look good. And a lot of materials will, ruin that surface product. So for me, we don't do those ourselves. We just get them sprayed. Yeah. Let's see. Kadia 14. How nervous do you get when you see a property needs brick repointing? I don't get nervous. Nope. Not a thing. Nope, not a thing. Not a big issue at all. Corby Carter. Good to see you, buddy. Currently driving to Stowe, Vermont. Wow. I was, where was I? I was in Buffalo last weekend. That was fun. But I know where Stowe, Vermont is. It's one of the big skiing areas. Being in Cow Hampshire. If you need to come through Cow Hampshire, you just say the word, Corby Carter. Let's see. What's up with all the Hot Wheels behind you? Silly question. Not a silly question at all. Those are all collector's Hot Wheels. Those are all from the 60s, 70s, and 80s when I was a kid. Yep. I have tons of them. You should see the collection of other stuff I have here. I have everything. I'm a collector of three or four things. I don't want to move the camera. Those 27-gallon totes, the black ones with the yellow tops that Home Depot sells. By the way, you can get those really on special right now for like $6 a piece. They're usually 10. Awesome pricing. I've got 12 totes of those full of metal planes. We're trying to figure out how we're going to display them. I've got an unbelievable card collection. So yeah, cards, Metal Planes was a one-time purchase. It was just a big collection that I got for the right price. And then Matchbox cars. Matchbox and Hot Wheels. Yeah. Kadia 14, you're very welcome. My pleasure. And you know, even if there's a decent amount of repointing that needs doing, just call a mason. You can usually hire them for $400 to $600 for a day, and they can come in and they can repoint everything. And then they can make it look really nice. Kyle Dorn, 2 disrespectful offers in today with explanations why. Taylor, couple weeks out from finishing this one, got to get the next one lined up to make sure she can't come home. Taylor, I think you need to send Kyle back on the road, but he's on the road every day. REI Jared, for a flat roof coat, what brand do you recommend? House in Arizona, about 2,000 square feet. Geico, Gaco. That's what I would look at. They make a really good product. We've put it on a bunch of stuff. They make a really good product. What you guys, that can go over a rubber roof, or it can also go over another metal. It can go over a metal roof. We're actually going to do the house that we have. There's a green metal roof on there now. Looks hideous. So we're actually going to go and we're going to do like a white roof or like an off-white roof or maybe even a gray roof. We're going to do something there. Probably a gray roof because we'll do the trim white, but we're probably going to do a gray roof there just to make it look right. It doesn't look right with green. The rest of the house is really nice, and that doesn't make it look nice. REI Jared, thanks for the Geico. You're welcome. It's GACO. Damn it, Jared. Farinelli, you only fly JetBlue? They are good, but their routes suck. They are very good. Their seats are fantastic. The service I get's amazing. I'm a Mosaic 4, which you would not believe the level of service you get as a Mosaic 4. Before the plane takes off, a flight attendant, can't say stewardess, right? Flight attendant walks up to you and says, "Hi, Mr. Hawkins. How are you?" "I'm doing quite well, thank you. Before we shut the door, is there anything that we can get you before we go for takeoff?" "No, thank you. I'm good." But like one time, I think I was dying of thirst and I asked for a drink. Like, sure, we can get you that right, get that right to you. So they literally brought me back a drink before they did anything with the plane. Before they would even buckle in and do all their announcements, they got me a drink. That was kind of cool. I'd never had that level of service before. It was amazing. Let's see. Rich Hilarious. Just sent you a message, Jared. I'm getting married in March. Congratulations. The three amigos should do a do's and don'ts of couples and finances, the no BS way. Rich Hilarious, that is what Ashley and I are covering at the One Rental at a Time event in Las Vegas. We're going to be covering exactly how we divvy up, what we divvy up, who has what, and what has who, and all that stuff, and how to talk about it and how to have conversation about it. There are certainly times where she's frustrated with me when I buy another property. There's certainly times where I'm frustrated with her when she tries to stop me from buying another property. But yeah, that's what we're actually going to cover in our presentation, just talking about the ebbs and flows of our relationship and how we manage the portfolio. And because she came into the portfolio, I'd already bought 5 or 6 buildings at that point. Yeah, when she speaks, her she's very listened to. I think that's a key, and I always hear her out. But very often it is based on feelings of experience of what we've had with X property, and then I have to make sure to just explain this is how this is different. So yeah, do it all the time. Kyle Dorn, LOL. No, LV actually only been working. Oh, okay. 1 day a week for 2 years now. Is that potentially partially retired status? Yes, it is. Never really thought about that, but you better get on it. Craig Cammett, any experience with Thermalec boilers? No. No experience. Craig, if I'm in your shoes, my man, I know what market you're in. You're in Tim Waltz land. If I'm in your shoes, I'm looking at IBCs. If you have to replace. If they're working on them, Thermalex, don't know anything about them. But I do know that when we evaluated stuff about 5 or 6 years ago, IBC was head and shoulders. Yeah, minus 15. That's what I love. I love about the combis. The combi boiler from IBC, 199,000 modulating BTUs. That's my boiler go of choice because we get those awful thermal. Yeah, never do them again. Oh, sorry to hear that, Craig. Yeah, we like the IBCs. They've never failed us. Even when we had that 1 week long of cold snap, they still never failed us. And those things were running kind of nonstop. And the cool thing was when they die or when something breaks on them, if you're working with a dealer, they get a dealer kit where they can swap out a part like that. Like we've never been down for more than 4 hours. Never been down for more than 4 hours. That's what I'm looking for, with winter and the craziness of cool in the wintertime. Minus 15, minus 30 wind chills, even if it's for a few hours, and we end up with a bunch of popped pipes. These IBCs they've just never let us down. Buck 52,000. I like real estate with no doors or windows. Okay. So land. I like land. I have some land with nothing built on it. We'll see what I end up doing with it. It's kind of we just kind of watch. We kind of watch and see, there's the right time to develop. And usually the right time to develop is when the economy is in a massive recession. Builders all of a sudden get a whole lot more reasonable. There's not nearly enough demand for products. So all that pricing starts to fall. Copper gets less expensive. Lumber gets less expensive. Roofing gets less expensive. All that stuff starts to happen. Labor gets less expensive. So yeah, we're very counter-cyclical. We bought a lot of stuff in 21 and the beginning of 22 because rates were still so outrageously inexpensive that people weren't doing the math properly. And we could be at 30-year fixed rate debt. So we locked in. So 85, 87, something like that % of my portfolio is 30-year fixed rate debt locked at 4 points or under. Will I ever be able to touch that again? Probably not. Maybe I will, but probably not. If I can, the value of that property has probably gone down a lot because it'll be a tough time. Angel R, pay an expert for the tub resurface. I DIY once and messed up the tub. Yes. Yeah, like I said, you can do them yourself, but I can tell you can absolutely tell the difference in finish between yours and an expert's, and you can absolutely tell the difference in longevity. The ones that we have done have not lasted long, and they've not gone well. They've just not gone well. So I want the expert. I want that layering. I want the sanding. I want the prepping. I want the fills that they do for any things that might be like a dent in the tub. I want all that stuff. Angel R, have you had to deal with vertical cracks on cinder block foundation verticals? Yes. Sure. Yep. We've jacked up and replaced bricks before, because it might have been an older brick foundation where there wasn't mortar and rebar in there. We've seen that. We've seen that a number of times. That was a little bit concerning. So yeah, we've done that. Yep, for sure. There's not a whole lot that we haven't done. Not a whole lot we haven't done. Well, that was an hour and 23 minutes of questions, about 3 minutes longer than what you guys did with Dion. Just kidding. It was funny. That was the shortest thing I've ever seen with Dion. Do you train your tenants on care for resurfaced tubs? What advice? No. Nope. There's really nothing to, there's really nothing to train them on. If there's something that you want really specifically, like we have like a one pager that we give to people, but no, nothing that we've ever done, because there's really nothing. It's like common sense stuff, right? Like, don't have 3 people in the bathtub at the same time, like sort of stuff like that. So yeah, not what I don't want to do is, if you try and legislate out the sun, what you actually do is you put yourself in a bad position, because they're like, you had 4 pages of instructions for renting your unit, and this one wasn't on there. And then that's what happened. And so if it was that important to you, why didn't you have it on the list of 4? You see how you just lost in court? That way it's like more along the lines of, well, just reasonable consideration. It's the same reason we don't have a break lease fee in our lease. Somebody was like, I want to break my lease. Okay. Well, how much? We don't have a break lease fee. We figure out what it's worth to you. Because what I don't want to do is I don't want to take 1 month and say, okay, that's your lease fee or whatever. I don't want to do that, because if it's in November, December, January, it takes me longer than that. I don't want to be on the hook for it. So what we typically will say is, yeah, we'll let you buy out of your lease at 1 month's worth of rent, and then you're on the hook paying until we find a new renter, and we'll start renting it this week. We just had somebody come back that wanted to break their lease. Now they no longer want to break their lease again. They're like, I'm just going to stay in it until May. Thought so. That's probably a good idea. You know? And if they stop paying, then we just hit them with an eviction paperwork. That's simple. Dion. 3 minutes, right, D? Hour and 23. Good points. Thank you, Matt. Katia, you're very welcome. It's truly my pleasure. Guys, I get just as much of a kick out of these Thursday nights as you do. I love being able to help you guys, share with you these experiences. Anytime that I can help save you money. You guys know I don't need the money for the course, but I do it because I want you guys to invest in yourselves. And quite frankly, you know, it cost me millions of dollars to put together that information that's in that course. Millions of dollars. And so I would encourage you guys, if you're heading on your journey and you think that you can do better, you can sure go out there and try and find all the data that's in there. But I know that there's stuff in there that I don't share anywhere else, just because, you know, kind of like Dion says, when doing like deal evaluations on the membership channel, on his membership channel, nobody watches that stuff. And there's a lot of stuff in there that a lot of people wouldn't watch. But when you're into a course, I want to make sure to kind of take you through the entire life cycle of the way that we do things to put you in a better spot, you know? Kyle Dorn, thanks, Matt. See you Saturday. Good to see you, Kyle. Have a fantastic rest of your week. I know only a couple of days left. I think that's our final boot camp. I got to double check, but I'm pretty sure that's our last one. And then we're on our finish line to the end of the year and Christmas, and Hanukkah and New Year's. And yeah, then we'll make an announcement. We'll make an announcement next week or two what we're going to do. Don't Sell. I love the name. Check this out. I'm going to put you up there. Matt, do you recommend fiber cement composite siding over vinyl siding? Yeah, I do, if you can afford it. It's crazy, 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 crazy expensive. So if vinyl is 100 and let's see. Let's just do a quick look, shall we? I buy vinyl right now for like 110 a square. So that's a 10 by 10 fiber cement per square. $850. Really? Yeah, much more expensive to install. So a 1,500 square foot house, $25,000. 1,500 square foot house, $25,000 to do in fiber cement. In vinyl, you're probably looking at 14 or 15. You're probably looking at half. Yep. I like the product. Don't get me wrong. I think that's a great product. But it's just so crazy expensive to install. You need special saw blades. You go through a ton of them. You have to pre-drill the holes in a lot of cases. I don't know if they've made that update to their product yet. There's a lot there. Yeah, it's super expensive. So I love the product, but it often is out of reach financially. If you're doing a higher end house, fiber cement. If you're not, I did one house where I just said, yeah, just give me the number for shits and giggles. And I think vinyl was 25,000. I think fiber cement was close to 50. LV Smart Lap is a great alternative. LP Smart Lap. Oh yeah, that's true. Yep. Yeah. Laminate plank Smart Lap. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. We're starting to see more and more of that around. I'm interested to see if that stuff really starts to take hold. I thought the fiber cement stuff was going to take better hold where they could make it less expensive. Then they also have the ones where they do the siding and like these metal pieces that are like almost like tongue and groove metal pieces. You just bang onto the side of your house. I like that, but I can tell you from experience, when you get that hard driving rain, it's loud. You can hear it. Don't love that. I really don't. That's why I don't like the metal roofs. I think they're just too loud. You know, you don't hear it obviously with snow. You don't hear it obviously with normal rain, but it's bad. Craig says we use it a lot here. I have it on my own cabin, held up no issues, 20 years so far. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean the big thing always with the vinyl is everyone knows how to install it. They can install it quickly, so they're not scared to like go and install it. Right? They're not like, oh, I've never really done this product before, and then they're like having to ask the rep, how do you use this stuff? How do you install it? It's like, dude, just read the book. It's fairly easy. Just follow the instructions. That's how they get you. When you don't install it properly per their instructions, and then you try and warranty it because something went wrong, guess what? They come in, they look at the install, and they look at it and go, that's not warranted. It's installed incorrectly. And you're like, really? Really? Well, yeah, you need to have this tongue here, and you have it here. The gaps need to be 7 inches, and you have them at 6. Really? And then they'll deny a claim over that because they'll say, just read our book. It says exactly how you're supposed to install it. That's how they get around their warranties. That's how they do it. Not very cool. Guys, it's a pleasure as always. Have an absolutely fantastic rest of your week. You boot campers, I'll see you on Saturday for, like I said, I believe it's our last one. But you guys have a great couple days, rest of your week. We'll do another big walkthrough of the community project house next week. Made a ton of progress. We had to pull, basically everybody's been off of it this week. But we'll make some significant progress next week. And then, so not this weekend, but next weekend, we'll do another walkthrough again. You guys will see a big difference with how the property's looking. But you guys have an absolutely fantastic rest of your week. Appreciate you guys as always. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of your journey. I really do appreciate it. It's always a blast to answer questions for you and hear what you guys are doing with the information that you've been given. So have an absolutely great rest of your week. Always check out Dion Talk, my good buddy. He's on at 7 p.m. Pacific time on Tuesdays on his live stream. And I don't know that Zoom's doing a live stream yet again. But yeah, fantastic stuff. Always check us out. Millennial Mike, always doing something cool. And he's got so many projects going on in Gary, Indiana. He makes me feel lazy. So now I know what Dion feels like. Anyway, guys, have a fantastic rest of your week, and we will see you in the next one. Take care, everybody. See you later.